to another episode of WFCF TV. I'm Dale Brill, and welcome audience members to spend some time with Alicia Gonzalez, who is the Executive Director of Take Stock in Children. And we're here talking about the Six Pillars Caucus system, and in particular the Talent Supply and Education Caucus, and really the importance of education in general. Alicia, thank you for being here with us. Let me jump right in and ask you a question. Give us some sense of what Take Stock in Children is all about, and your role and what you see, your connection point with what's happening in talent supply and education for our state.
Take Stock in Children is our mission at Valencia is to provide opportunity, and that's what Take Stock does. We collaborate with this public school system in Orange County and recruit 7th graders who are underserved and performing well in school, track them for 5 years, and if they're successful, we provide them with a Florida prepaid 2+2 scholarship.
What does it mean to be underserved?
Underserved meaning that they're under economic radar, they're economically disadvantaged. Some of these students' parents are either incarcerated, they live with grandparents, but their message of doing well in school sends a clear message to us that they are under the radar, and because they are, we should tap into them and provide them with a mentor to get them out of that poverty cycle.
So based on your background and again your interest and participation in the Six Pillars Caucus system and talent supply and education, it's probably not going to be a stretch of the imagination that of the 6 pillars of Florida's future economy that you believe that talent supply and education is the most important. Give our audience, the folks that are listening and watching this today, some sense of why education is indeed the cornerstone of the 6 pillars process.
I think it's critical because it is part of the economic development of our state. When we perfect education, we continue to develop better employees. We are able to not only produce employees for our own state, but also to branch into other states of our nation, so we can produce the best talent to then give back to us in the future. So I believe that's why it's very important.
How are we doing as a state? What is the state of the talent supply and education in the Sunshine State?
Well, I think, just looking at the data that, we're at the number 5 in that component, but we still need to really have a sense of more collaboration with business and understand how we work together. I think that we're still in a bit of a silos within the education institutions and the business institutions of what our deliverables should be. And I think when we have more dialogue and partnership in those 2 components, I think we would be more successful.
Great. Now the Talent Supply and Education Caucus has identified among its strategies and now its priorities for development this value statement, or at least a feeling or a priority that business engagement is absolutely critical. Give us, our audience, some sense of why business engagement is critical in education.
I think we need to be in the pulse of what these businesses need. Over time, we've realized that our community colleges and universities are producing product with a lot of knowledge, but are lacking some sense of business savvy and understanding what going into a job means. And I think collaborating with the businesses will provide us to get insight on what is it that we are not providing and that we are not giving experience and exposure to make these students successful to just going into the job and run into it. Whether then the business is now having to actually retrain the student or this new workforce person in the field that they have gone into. So better align ourselves is, I think, about more of an alignment piece in talking and having those discussions with those businesses.
So having completed year 1 as we roll into 2011, and we're participating now in our 2nd year of the 6 Pillars Caucus system, what are your expectations and hopes that we might address and accomplish as a group within talent supply and education?
Well, from going to the Florida chamber meeting that we have when we work with businesses, it was very insightful to see what we're looking at as far as our growth within Florida, within exports, imports, who's coming into our country, into our state, to make business. So I think the next steps that we need to see is that are we able to tie and align ourselves with business? And what does it look like to align ourselves? And how do we really show that there's outcomes to that? How do we measure that we are successful in aligning ourselves? Are we having just dialogue, or are we implementing what we said we would?
Sure.
So that would be something that I would look forward to seeing happen.
Someone with a schedule as busy as yours and the activities, again, your passion for education, talent supply, workforce development notwithstanding, you've got to make some difficult choices of what to do with your time. So do the folks who are listening to this, and as we try to reach out and broaden our audience and participation in the caucus system, what would you tell someone who's trying to decide whether they should get engaged and get involved in what's happening now?
I think if you're passionate, and not only passionate, but if you care about the future of your own future and the production of productive citizens that we want to produce to give back to our state, I think you need to have ownership of what this means for us. We're collaborating with businesses, even if you're not an educator. We want to see that we are educating at the highest level, that we are competitive globally. And if you want to engage in that and be part of our future, I think it would be beneficial that you consider joining us.
Well, Alicia, we thank you for your time. It's always good to be with you and hear about and learn more about your own passions and interests in talent supply and education. I look forward to seeing you among board meetings and caucus meetings that will take place. But I want to remind everybody that's watching that the Future of Florida Forum has moved earlier in the year. We'll be gathering in September at the Contemporary Resort in beautiful Orlando, and we look forward to seeing you there. For WFCF TV, I'm Dale Brill, and we'll see you next time.